This is hoof Mr. M, and I have done my sagittal section, but I just wanted to revisit this before I show you the inside, just so that you remember what it looks like on the outside. And now we're going to have a look at the inside. Well, this is quite incredible, really, the amount of destruction I can see. Now, I'm doing the video now before I've cleaned it up completely, because what happens is when I start to clean all these little bits up, and there's quite a bit of work involved to clean this up for you, we might start to lose some of the detail. So I'm going to do a video now, and if anything extra pops up after I've cleaned this up, then I'll show you. But I just wanted to show you now, while it's in this state, some of the things that I'm seeing, and I'm just going, whoa. First of all, look at the navicular bone. This looks to be a huge cyst inside the navicular bone. Now, I can't be sure because this hasn't defrosted yet, but I would put money on this big whitish area in here being a cyst. Let's just zoom in on that for you. I mean, that really does look like a cyst, doesn't it? So we'll know more once this is defrosted. The other reason why I wanted to show you this now is because this should be the bursa underneath here. So this is the navicular bone. This is a DDFT, deep digital flexor tendon. Now this is actually incredibly thin compared to many others that I've seen. So this is the navicular bursa. Now the difference with it is it doesn't look very clean. Normally when I do my sections, this normally looks like a mirror through there, or like a window of clean, clear. It's just ice, but this just seems to be a little bit more murky. Now the other really important part is this toe. Look at that coffin bone. So that's this bone here, and look at the distance here between the coffin bone and the wall, this distance here, and look at the distance between there and there at the end. This is clearly a separation between the hoof wall and the coffin bone. Now, the questions out there is, does the coffin bone actually rotate away from the hoof wall, or does the whole hoof wall rotate forward away from the coffin bone? There's all sorts of different hypotheses out there, but this is absolutely clear. You can see that it's a triangle through there, whereas really that should be a straight line. And when we start looking down here, I think we're going to see some serious disruption down the bottom there. Now, even with that, this digital cushion seems to be pretty good. It's unbelievable, really, isn't it? And that he's got these big bulbs at the back as well. So the heels have not collapsed, and the whole body has not collapsed into the back of the foot, which is a surprise. Now, looking at the coronary band area, I think that what's happened is this whole thing has shifted down, because this is much bigger than it should be, and this is the wrong shape. I think that this is showing damage at this point here. It just looks a little odd. Now, I could be wrong, but these are my initial thoughts. I think what we need to do is we need to get some measurements of where the coffin bone actually should sit in the capsule, because what you're supposed to do is the top of the coffin bone is supposed to sit in a certain place. And so if that is the top of the capsule, the coffin bone is supposed to sit somewhere specific, and it's not supposed to drop down. Now, this actually might be okay. I'm not 100% sure, so I'm going to have to go and do some measurements and some looking up. So let's quickly look at some of these other things before I clean this up, and then I'll run another video for you. I mean, this is so interesting, and it's different to the other foot. I think that this is more pathological than the other foot. I think this is a more damaged foot. I think that we've got a bigger wedge through here. Now, what's interesting is this part here, you probably can't see it, and I'm going to turn it around, but this is swollen. This is swollen lamina through here. And I think that because I've put this in the deep freeze and it's frozen, if I turn it, you might just about see. Can you see it sitting up a little bit? There's just just about see it through here, yeah? So what that's showing is that because there's so much fluid, I think, in the lamina, and when this is frozen and the ice has expanded, and that's what we're seeing through here, and that's why it's bulging. Now this part here is incredible. There's a lot of blood up through this part. I can see it's not sensitive lamina through there. This is bleeding going into this area. And if we look down here, this looks as though the coffin bone is pressing into the sole corium and is bruising it and is crushing it around here. And that's probably true, because if the whole thing is pointing down, then this is going to be where the force is going to be, in that part there. And so we're going to see disruption of that area. And also we can see quite nicely the tubules in that area. Can you see how wobbly they are? Now when they're kinked like this, it's because there's pressure on them. And so this is showing that there's pressure being pushed down. And I think that what's happening is it's pushing down here, and you're getting this line of force, and the tubules are kinking under the pressure. And then also we've got a straight line up through here. So this is the white line. And then it kinks off at the side again because of all this disruption through here. I mean, this is actually an incredible view. Let's have a little look at this navicular bone in a little bit more detail. I'm very much looking forward to this defrosting and having a look to see what this looks like, but I would put money on it that this is a cyst. Now the other thing about this navicular bone, can you see how red it looks? The whole bone looks very red, and that is unusual. I don't normally see it looking like that. It would normally look like this. There's a lot of red in this foot, and I think this is a very inflamed foot. Now the other thing I've noticed is this bone here underneath the navicular bone, it looks to be not spongy bone. It looks like to be, I think it's called cortical bone. I'll have to look that up, but it's bone that's very, very dense around there. And that looks a little bit more dense than what I normally see. But again, I'm going to have a look at this. I'm going to have to look at these still photographs and get a better idea of what we're looking at here. It's quite hard for me to video and sort of study it at the same time. It'll also be interesting to see if the navicular bone on the other side is the same as this, because then it means that this cyst-like area is straight down the middle. So these are the preliminary findings on this foot, and I thought I'd show them to you because I think that they're pretty exciting, and I really wanted to share it with you in real time. And so I'm going to clean this foot up now and study it intensely, and then I'll pop some photographs up, whatever I find, and discussion. We've got that we can do, and some more video. Now while I'm looking at it still, I think there's a cyst here as well. Now I've seen this a lot, so I'm starting to get a bit guarded whether this is just part of normal wear and tear and age. But if you look, can you see this blood vessel here? That's called the terminal arch, and that is supposed to be there. But then we've got this like a cavern through here. And I'm thinking that this is another bone cyst. And so I'll have a look at that as well once this defrosts. And I also want to have a look at some of these other strange areas in this coffin bone, because it does look very odd, very different to what I'm expecting.